Either Skoda is telling the truth or VW is lying. VRS versus GTI. The question everybody is asking. The question a lot of people have answered, but we are the only people that you should hear from. We will be testing these cars across 5 different tests. So let's not waste any time. Now this is where both of these cars are a dead heat. Both of these cars are powered by the same E888 2-litre TSI engine, making 265 horsepower and 370 Nm of torque, sent to the front wheels via the same 7-speed DSG gearbox called the DQ381. But do both of these cars actually have the same engine? We're here at N1 Racing's Dyno to find out if one 2-litre TSI makes more power than the other. So the GTI made a super impressive 278.6 HP, which is in fact more than what the manufacturer claims, and 413.18 Nm of torque, which is again more than what the manufacturer claims. An impressive performance by the GTI. Let's see what the VRS can do. So the Octavia vRS made exactly 265.27 horsepower and 395.24 Nm of torque. So there are 2 ways to look at this thing. Either Skoda is telling the truth or VW is lying. But in this case, the GTI has made slightly more power and slightly more torque. Now, while the predecessors of these engines were some of the most potent 2-litre turbocharged engines ever to be made, these new engines cannot be tuned. The ECUs of both of these cars are locked from the factory just like any other modern BMW that you can get. But if the ECUs get unlocked, these cars can make upwards of 400 horsepower very comfortably. I have been lucky enough to drive this new Octavia vRS on Budh International Circuit, and I have to say, it's a very capable car and always puts a smile on your face when you hit the gas. And it does pull pretty hard once you get into the boost range of the turbo. Now this new car makes 265 horsepower and 370 Newton meters of torque, which is identical to the Golf GTI. But it is of course lugging around some extra weight because of the added boot. But I don't think it has changed the way this car drives at all. It is still fun to drive. It is still a great handling car. Of course, when you go to the limits, the front wheel drive nature of this car is going to be a little bit of a setback, but if you're driving this car at 8/10, 9/10, it is going to be very, very fun to drive. The steering, although kind of dead, classic Volkswagen, it is pretty precise, it's point and shoot, but no real feedback as such. The suspension is very nice, I have to say. It does soak up the bumps on these pimply Indian roads very well, and it is stiff when you want it and comfortable when you don't want it to be. In order to aid the handling a little bit more, this car comes with a VAG differential which manages the power really well. It kind of gives the inner wheel extra power or cuts it depending on what you're trying to do, and it can help rotate the car and manage the power better when you're going through a corner, and you can actually feel that when you're pushing the car to its limits. Now, of course, over here I can't really feel it because, well, I'm not close to the limit, but it is something that you can feel if you're on a track or you're actually pushing the car on a canyon road. Apart from that, 7-speed DSG gearbox, classic Volkswagen, super crisp shifts, paddles work brilliantly, but of course this new generation of E888 is even more muted than the outgoing one. So yeah, it basically sounds like a vacuum cleaner, but it's no different for the Golf GTI. Now I have driven this particular GTI before in the Polo versus Golf GTI video, and now that I've driven both the cars back to back, there is a slight difference in the GTI. First and foremost, the cabin has more exhaust noise. Now I'm not sure if it's pumped in noise or if it's the actual exhaust noise. I think it's option 1, of course, but when you boot it, you can hear more exhaust or engine in that case, which is a good thing because, well, the Octavia vRS feels very subdued. It doesn't feel as lively as the Golf GTI. The Golf drives a little bit better. It feels lighter on its feet. It feels more nimble. It feels more ready to turn into a corner, if you know what I mean. And it also has pops and bangs, which is surprising because the VRS also had it, but when I was driving it didn't really make any noise. But let's give it a little bit of... The Golf feels faster. It does feel faster. Maybe it's the extra weight that the Golf has shedded, but it pulls harder, it pulls cleaner. It's a very, very minute difference, and it's a difference that you can only feel if you drive them back to back. But I have to say, in this particular case, the Golf is giving me a better time in the driver's seat. It is what it is. I own a VRS myself, but the GTI takes it when it comes to driving. Now both these cars have the same engine, the same underpinnings, but the biggest difference between both of these cars is of course the looks. While one is a really angry looking hatchback, the other one is a sleek looking performance sedan. While this particular Golf comes with these sick looking 18-inch OZ racing wheels, the stock Golf GTI also comes with 18-inch looking wheels with 5 spokes, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I think it looks better than whatever that car has. The VRS on the other hand has these 19-inch wheels from the factory with this kind of aero disc kind of design, but I have to say, yeah, they're not the best looking wheels out there. The VRS is based on the Octavia, so of course you get this swoopy rear end at the back and you get a gigantic boot to support it. And over here at the bumper as well, you get this black bit over here and these exhaust surrounds which make the car look super sporty. But in my opinion, the Golf GTI just looks better, and that's not just because of the back end. I think the whole car in general just looks really, really aggressive and really, really nice on the road. Now pair it with these lovely looking IQ lights and these real exhaust tips that protrude. Well, I think the Golf GTI just looks more cohesive, more angry, and just the more complete looking car. But in terms of looks, what would you choose? Comment down below. Just because the Golf GTI is a hot hatchback doesn't mean it's impractical. In fact, over here in the rear seat, you have good amounts of knee room, better amounts of headroom than the Octavia because of its swooping rear end. You have larger windows than the Octavia as well, which let in extra light. You also have a sunroof which makes the cabin feel more airy and spacious, and overall, it's a comfortable place to sit in. In fact, you have a baby car seat as well. Pretty practical. The rear seats in the Octavia VRS feel a little bit more reclined than the ones in the Golf GTI, but more or less they're very similar. You have good amounts of knee room, decent amounts of headroom, fairly comfortable place to sit in. And you have one more thing. You have this little hole if you want to tickle the passenger in front. The only drawback that the Golf GTI has in this comparo, oh shit, it doesn't have automatic, is the boot space. 380 liters compared to 600 liters of boot space in the VRS with an electronically assisted boot. VRS interior is great. I mean, there's nothing much to complain about. You get a big infotainment screen which has all of your functions embedded inside it. You also get this digital instrument cluster which has a couple of different variations in the way you can look at it. You also get this really nice flat bottom steering wheel with perforated leather, paddle shifters, the VRS badge and a brand new Skoda badge as well. You get these sporty seats as well with big fat bolsters, these bolsters over here for your shoulders, and the new VRS logo embroidered with some red stitching as well. Overall, it's a really nice interior with some fake carbon fiber finish on the dash, Canton speakers, no sunroof unfortunately for the Octavia MK4 in general, and this new transmission selector as well. Nothing much to complain about. But somehow the Golf GTI's interior just feels a little bit more special. The infotainment system, first of all, is kind of tilted towards you, and even the colorways in both the instrument cluster and the infotainment feel more sporty and somehow feels a little bit more crisp to look at. The steering wheel is fairly similar to the one in the VRS, perforated leather, red stitching, GTI badge, flat bottom, paddle shifters, aluminum finish, but the dash doesn't have fake carbon fiber. Instead, it has this really nice aluminum carbon fiber or something of that sort happening. Apart from that, iconic GTI stuff, cloth tartan seats with a similar design to the VRS seats itself, but it just feels a little bit more special if you look at it. Apart from that, you get a sunroof, which the Octavia just doesn't come with even internationally. In terms of rarity, well, the VRS badge is not uncommon in India anymore. You got the Mark 1, you got the Laura VRS, the VRS 230, 245. So even though these cars have come in limited numbers in India, the VRS badge has become more common than the GTI badge. Officially, Volkswagen has only sold the Polo GTI before this, and this is the first time they're officially selling the Golf in India. So in terms of rarity, the Golf GTI takes the cake. And in terms of special factor, it still is the Golf GTI for me because of the small little tweaks here and there that Volkswagen has done. Overall, both of these cars are minutely different. Only if you drive them back to back, you can actually feel the difference. But in today's case, I would genuinely pick the Golf GTI. Being a VRS owner myself, this is a very special car, but the GTI is just that tad bit more special. So for me, the winner is the Golf GTI, but the VRS is only an inch behind. Let us know what would you choose, the Octavia VRS or the Golf GTI. Comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.